Well, good morning, everyone. Morning, Council. It's 9 o'clock, and it's welcome to the July 15th County Council meeting. We're going to begin the meeting with agenda item number 1, closed session.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Gowdy. Resolved that Council resolve itself into Committee of the Whole closed session as authorized under Section 239 of the Municipal Act to consider the adoption of closed minutes of meeting held June 17th, 2026. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, as it relates to the performance appraisal of the Chief Administrative Officer, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board as it relates to the Howe Island Ferry.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Regular council meeting will return at approximately 9:30. Thank you. Again, council and those of the public that are online, it's 9:30 and we're now going to continue with our regularly scheduled county council meeting. The first item on the agenda is our traditional land acknowledgement statement. So we begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place of the first peoples and their ancestors who are entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the Indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the county is committed to working with Indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. We'll now return to council.
So moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard, resolved that council rise from committee of the whole closed session without reporting.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Item number 3, we have to approve an addendum to the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Fowler, that the addendum for the July 15th, 2026 council meeting be approved.
All those in favor? Carried. Item number 4, make sure we haven't skipped something. No. Are there any disclosure? Does anyone have a disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Item number 5, adoption of the minutes. 5.1, minutes of the meeting held June the 17th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Lichty, seconded by Councillor Smith, resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 17th, 2026 be adopted.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Item 5.2, minutes of special meeting held June the 29th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Fowler, resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held June 29th, 2026 be adopted.
Councillor Greenwood Spears.
I see Councillor Fowler and I were both not present for that meeting, so I don't know how he could move the minutes. Or am I wrong?
Madam Clerk, I believe we had quorum at that meeting.
So then it's just seconded by Councillor Smith.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
I know.
Okay. Okay, so you've changed the motion and the seconder?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So all those in favor? Carried. Sorry, there are no delegations or presentations. There are no proclamations. Item number 8, move into committee of the whole.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears, that council adjourn and meet as committee of the whole with the warden in the chair.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Item number 9, briefings. 9.1, monthly CEO briefing. Mr. Farrell?
Thank you, and good morning, Warden and Council. As always, I'll take you through the CIO's monthly report for July. It'll be very brief today. I'll touch on the main points and happy to answer any questions. So a key highlight for this month, last Friday, July 10th, we welcomed Minister Flack, Minister McCarthy, Parliamentary Secretary McKelvey, MP Aitchison, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, MPP Jordan, and other guests to the Verona and Sharbert Lake housing sites. It was a great opportunity to showcase the work of Frontenac Municipal Services and discuss local, provincial, and federal collaboration to support innovative rural housing solutions. It was a very successful day. A bit of a human resources update. As of July 1st, 2026, there have been 219 postings. An offer went out recently and was accepted for the temporary full-time GIS specialist. 3 permanent part-time ferry operators have accepted offers and are getting onboarded. And Fairmount continues with recruitment for casual positions. OPSU bargaining will happen on September 15th and 16th. We have 5 OPSU mediation and arbitrations scheduled for 2026. And 2 for CUPE still need to be scheduled. And HR has supported and resolved 1 of 2 investigations. Frontenac paramedic volunteers helped celebrate Pride Month, attending the Kingston Pride Parade on June 13th. And an eventful June saw our paramedics' first bike team events with a working presence at both the Pride Parade and FIFA World Cup Tour event in Kingston. On June 27th, we recognized PTSD Awareness Day, bringing attention to post-traumatic stress injuries and their effects on well-being. And Frontenac paramedics are running a pilot program as part of an ongoing wellness and PTSI prevention effort, bringing a trained peer support dog to bases for regular visits. And you'll see in the picture there, that's the dog Maverick. On Saturday, June 27th, Fairmount Home hosted its annual butterfly release in memory of residents who have passed over the last year. Family members were invited back to Fairmount for a ceremony that honored each of the residents. And after the ceremony, each family released a butterfly as a tribute to their loved ones. Current residents also released butterflies in memory of their friends. Total digital engagements for June were up 15% from May, but down from the same period last year. And the top performing items on digital channels related to the Frontenac Paramedics new hires, Frontenac Paramedics in the Kingston Pride Parade, Fairmount Home residents and staff in the Walk for Alzheimer's, and Father's Day posts. The Economic Development Team wants to let Council know about 2 events upcoming in August and September. Local businesses are encouraged to attend both events for networking and information updates. The bicycle-friendly business workshop is available to all businesses, regardless of proximity to trails, and this free certification process helps businesses connect with cyclists and cycling groups from across the province and beyond. And lastly, on June 30th, the tornado passed through South Frontenac, and for a time, the tornado moved in alignment with the KMP Trail. So several areas were significantly impacted. The trail was closed between Orser Road and Petworth Road from July 1st to July 6th to facilitate the cleanup. And on behalf of the county, I want to extend a big thank you to the volunteers from the Frontenac ATV Club, our contractors, and the whole team at the county for their efforts responding to this sudden event. With all the help from everybody, the trail was cleared of downed trees by July 4th. And at this point, I'll take any questions or comments from council.
Councillor Greenwood-Spears.
Thank you. I was just wondering that regarding the labor relations, without getting into specifics and that, it seems like there is an increase in mediation arbitrations between OPSEU and GP, and that going up to combine as 7. Seems like a spike. Is there anything you can elaborate on that?
Nothing specific at this point. Our director of HR is actually in an arbitration today, but duly noted.
Other comments or questions for Mr. Farrell? Mr. Farrell, if I could, I just want to add a little bit to your report. The FMS session on Friday was spectacular. I want to specifically acknowledge the staff led by Councillor Smith, Councillor Litke, and Deputy Warden Vanderwall and their staff for putting together excellent presentations. It was a lot of work, I know, going into it, but the reception by the ministers, I think we couldn't have asked for more. So congratulations to all those that were involved. And if there are no other comments or questions, thank you, Mr. Farrell. We're on to item number 10, unfinished business. There is no unfinished business. Item number 11, consent reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. There are no consent reports. And item number 12, Committee of Management of Fairmount Homes. There is no report. So item number 13, recommended reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. Report number 2026-065.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Lichty. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to proceed with the procurement of Sylogis Gov and implementation process through Endeavor Solutions for a replacement financial enterprise resource planning system, and further that staff include the operating costs, associated implementation costs, and transfers from reserves to offset the implementation costs as part of the 2027 budget process.
Any comments or questions from council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Item 13.2, Report 2026-066, Corporate Services Prudent Investor Standard for the County of Frontenac.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, seconded by Counselor Gowdy. Be it resolved that staff be authorized to work with the One Investment on the steps necessary to join the One Joint Investment Board as a participating municipality under the Prudent Investor Standard, and further that staff report back to council with an appropriate investment policy, the One Joint Investment Board agreement, and an authorizing enabling bylaw by September 16th, 2026.
Comments, questions? Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Thank you. As I read through the report and that, I will say upfront, I'm fiscally conservative, always have been that, and I'm very conscious of the bubbles that can occur in investing in that. And reading through the report and the new opportunity, and that for being a little bit more aggressive than what has been traditional, and that from the prudent investor standard and that over to the new version, that gives me pause for thought. So in the future, and that I do look forward to having a better discussion, or will this be at the next council, and that, or are we making a decision at this point in time in moving forward to being more aggressive? Because I'd hate to think that our reserves that have been carefully cultivated for so many years, and that might get put at risk if there's a AI bubble burst, or if our provincial government encourages us to invest in things that are more speculative.
Could we have the treasurer respond to that?
So through you, Warden. So this report is basically just to get us to look further to adopt the standard. Once the standard is adopted, we can still set the risk tolerance. So we can still primarily be in fixed income investments. We can, if that's council's direction, we can look into more risky investments as well. But this is just to adopt that standard that will allow us to invest in more vehicles, as opposed to right now where we're limited to basically a very narrow list of fixed income investments and a single fund of Canadian equities.
Okay. So if I understand it, there's a potential that we could have a joint venture, because when I read through this, it said that if we choose the more aggressive, it's extremely difficult to ever go back to the less aggressive form. And it doesn't sound like it allows for a hybrid really at all in it. So I just get a little concerned in that it's easy to go one way, but it's not easy to go back the other way.
Sure. So you're correct in that once you adopt the prudent investment standard, you can't go back to exclusively legal list. But within the prudent investment standard, there would be 15 to 20 options based on your risk tolerance. So you could still have a very relatively risk-free portfolio within Prudent Investor. It just opens you up to different investments that you wouldn't otherwise be able to through the legal list.
Thank you. Councillor Lidke.
Thank you. Alex, roughly how much do you think we would be able to invest? Or how much are we putting on the table?
So our current investment balance right now is 18 million. It probably wouldn't be the full amount because we're looking at money not required immediately, which would again be defined by council policy. Typically, it's either 2 to 3 years. I think a conservative start would be 5 to 10. And also within that, you can still hold individual bonds on top of the money invested within the one fund, which I may not have made clear with Councillor Greenwood Spears' response.
Follow-up question?
So I have somewhat similar concerns to Councillor Greenwood Spears, but I noted in the information that under the legal list, the secure, in quotation marks, government bonds, corporate bonds, high yield, a 60% component, but under prudent investor, it's 70%. The only difference really is in the equity version. So obviously they're doing it in the States, offshore, or whatever else, and so on. On $1 million, it's only $5,000 a year because it's 0.5%. But if we're talking, say, $5 or $10 million over 5 years, it starts to add up significantly. So looking forward to see what happens.
Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll maybe just add, so the figure you referenced, that also assumed that we had 40% invested in the Equity One Fund. We have 0% in the Equity One Fund. That was kind of a sample portfolio. In terms of a long-term fixed income portfolio, 3% would be the average. We'd be below that 4.7 that they brought as comparison. They were just showing that to say you can take on less equity with prudent investor and still have average higher returns and less variability in those returns.
So, Alex, can I ask that you consider all the comments that have been made and when you come forward with your next report, address those questions? I think we're getting into the weeds here a little bit in terms of detail. So I think I would thank you for your report. Item number, sorry, that was a motion? Yeah. So that's all the questions. Any other comments? I guess I've called the question on it. So all those in favor? Carried. Item number 13.3, report 2026-069, Corporate Services Restricted Acts under Nomination Day Delegation of Authority to Chief Administrative Officer.
Moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-012, being a bylaw to establish a delegation of authority policy and to authorize the delegation of certain powers and duties under the Municipal Act, the Planning Act, and other acts be amended to add Schedule C as follows. That in addition to those delegations of authority listed in Schedule B provided to the Chief Administrative Officer, the Chief Administrative Officer or their delegate is delegated the authority to approve any expenditures, enter into any agreements and/or other legal documents, and incur any other liability for unbudgeted expenditures related to time-sensitive issues or funding opportunities. That upon the termination of this delegation of authority, the Chief Administrative Officer shall report to Council of any exercise of a power or duty delegated under this bylaw. And 3, that the delegation of powers and authority under this bylaw will only take effect and be limited to the time that County Council is subject to the restricted acts under Section 275 of the Municipal Act.
Comments, questions? Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, this does not give the CAO delegated authority to become our integrity commissioner during that time frame, correct?
No, it does not. That is
Thank
not
you very
part of
much.
the restricted acts.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Sorry, item number 13.4, staff reading, briefing. My apologies. So Ms. Debbie Miller will provide an update for us, and I believe she is online. So Debbie, if you want to proceed.
Thank you very much. And Brianna was going to pull up the slides for me. Thank you. So I just wanted to provide an update about the healthcare implementation plan that was adopted at Council in May 2025. And I'm just going to roll through a few of the areas just to draw some attention to things to give a status update. So as we go through the slides, you'll see that different things are marked in progress ongoing, paused, or complete. And that's all related to the work that I'm doing on the implementation plan. It's not related to work that other organizations are doing in areas where things are marked complete. Some of the work has been taken on by other individuals or organizations, but it's just marked complete in the implementation plan as far as my work is done. I also, just before we go through the slides, I just wanted to provide a quick update about the Frontenac Lennox and Addington, Ontario Health Team that they had developed and submitted to the Ministry of Health and Ontario Health a 4-part plan to connect all residents in the FLA OHT geography to the primary care health home in response to the Primary Care Action Team, or PCAT's, mandate. The first 2 parts of the plan have been submitted and approved, and around 3 in the application process is expected to be announced in the fall or the winter. So the most recent announcement that happened in May in Charlotte Lake, they're still working through some of the details and they're under review, and we'll invite the Ontario Health Team to come to Council to share a bit more about that once we have some more specific details. So there's not much more I can speak to about that because it's work that's being done by the OHT, but we look forward to having them to a future council meeting to share some more updates. Next slide, please. So as I go through, I'm just going to speak to high level some of these areas, and again, just marked where they're at. So the clinic structure, looking at the employment-based blended salary models, in April of 2026, the existing FOs, so that would be the Sydenham and Verona clinics, both transitioned to what's called the FO Plus model. Any existing FOs automatically transitioned. I haven't heard any feedback on what it's about, but prior to the transition, we had heard there looked to be a lot of positive changes for the faux models. So I look forward to circling back with the clinics after they've had some time to adjust to this new model and to learn a bit more. In progress ongoing, so 1.2 collaborations. I anticipate that this is going to be an ongoing long-term piece where we're collaborating with the clinics. This 1.3 was completed by Rob, and it was helping clinics negotiate the building blocks for a transition if they change to a different model type. So that was set out fairly early in this process. And then 1.4, exploring options and develop a vision for an integrated health home hub in South Frontenac. There's been some very high level conversations with the clinics to understand what they're looking for and what they would like to be supported, but nothing has moved forward with that at this point. Next slide, please. So supporting the business plan to pursue the best option for sustainability. Again, this was part of the primary care action plan funding. And then the announcement was in May with details coming that are currently under review. 1.6, so this was investigating opportunities to connect with clinics outside of Frontenac County, so North Frontenac. There was support given for a second primary care physician earlier this year. Next slide, please. So Frontenac Islands, this area, so the 2.1 exploring mobile clinics with the Ontario Health Team. This was one area that I thought I was pretty much complete with because we had talked about mobile clinics, that there's a mobile clinic available, but it requires somebody to drive it and somebody to find a staff member. So it's really a unit that's available. The Ontario Health Team is actively looking at different regional opportunities for this. So this is marked in progress, and I do have a couple of follow-up meetings about that. 2.2, the Rio score, there's been no changes or exceptions to this. I've been working with the CAO from Frontenac Islands as the lead on this, and we've been having continued conversations, but there's been no changes with regards to that. 2.3, so this is connecting with primary care providers. And as you know, the nurse practitioner pilot project on Wolfe Island was launched earlier this year. And as of June 24th, they have seen 255 residents through that program, so the 1 day a week. They've also recently added a reception role, which is paid for by the Wolfe Island Community Medical Clinic. And they're having early conversations about what some of the next steps around that look like. They also, as you know, there was a second day to be added for the pilot project, and based on the resources from the nurse practitioners, they're looking to add that second day in August based on staff availability. Next slide, please. Sorry, just trying not to cough. The recruitment and retention area. So this is an area that there's been a lot of focus on and a lot of time spent. I have participated in a recruitment event with EOPRA in Montreal in the fall of 2025 and will be also attending in October 2026. The EOPRA group and OPRA group, both of those contacts, they've been great resources for information, knowledge sharing, various resources and connections, and we'll continue to work with that group as we attend different sessions and as we learn more about the recruitment. A more coordinated system. So again, anytime we can find a place that we can post job postings for Frontenac County, we look to add those postings to different locations online on websites. So that's an area that's in progress. The next one, 3.2, is in progress. We have an agreement with Keys for the NEST program, which is used on an as needed basis. So only if we're using it are we paying for that. But again, that agreement is in place to offer wraparound support to physicians and their families coming to Frontenac County. And then opportunities to collaborate and harmonize recruitment efforts across the county, but also Kingston, Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington. So the FLA OHT Health Home Working Group that I've been leading has a focus on recruitment and retention. We've been working on that, having several conversations, and recently have been having conversations with municipalities about what collaboration looks like. More to follow on that, but lots of good conversations. Sorry, next slide, please. The community working group, this group has been paused until the recruitment and retention working group has a plan, and then it will be revisited. Next slide, please. The support services, this was initially put in as a placeholder. Nothing was used from it or activated, so again, marked as complete. Next slide, please. I'm sorry for the coughing. Productivity. So both of these have been marked as complete because this is an area that has transitioned. I'm not involved in this, but partners and other organizations are continuing to support the clinics and adapt some of the new technologies or AI or different uses there. Next slide, please. And then the last slide here is communications. So each of these areas have been marked complete as far as my work is concerned with it. I've worked with the townships to include healthcare information on the websites. Also, when they're tagged in social, they will share that across their channels. And then the connection with partners, continuing that. So continuing to connect partners with municipalities or service providers. Again, that part is complete, but I also expect that that would be an ongoing, that's part of the natural work that I do in economic development. And then the last part, the communication for the Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington. The communications officer with Frontenac County is part of that working group and will continue to be that lead for their messaging. And then the last piece that I just wanted to flag was the hours that I've spent on this project since beginning the project in January 2024 is about 535 hours on this project. So just sharing that, but happy to answer any questions.
So Debbie, thank you for your presentation. And I would guess I would ask council, given Debbie's difficulty in holding back her cough, I'd ask you to keep your questions brief and to the point. So any comments, questions? Councilor Greenwood-Spears.
Thank you, Debbie. Regarding the Rio score, I'm hoping you can send me your notes in that because that is part of the thrust of the working group that we have for paramedic and EMS and ferry issues that we're applying for delegation status at AMO. And one way or the other in that, I've also worked on the Rio score, so I'd like to make sure we aren't crossing any problems that way. And just a quick note on the mobile clinics for Frontenac Island, since we have a fully stocked and equipped turnkey medical clinic, I'm not sure on the mobile aspect other than we need the physician is the key thing in that. But if they want to get on a boat that may or may not get them off the island, that'll be another issue. But we'll be happy to take them over in that. But I would appreciate any of your notes on the Rio score piece because that is something I will be bringing up with the minister. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And sorry, I will share that, and I'll also circle back with the CAO about that as she's been the lead on that. And as far as the mobile clinic, they're also looking at it regionally to see if there's very specific uses for the mobile clinic. But thank you for the comments.
Councilor Smith.
I just want to give a little update. The May announcement was the money to get a few positions, and we have filled them all. We have a nurse practitioner starting mid-August. We have an RPN starting, I think, August as well, and an administration person. So I don't know where we're putting them all at this point, but we've got them and ready to go. And the nurse practitioner is looking at probably 600 to 700 patients that will be attached to them that they didn't have before. So we're very pleased with the announcement and the money and the help to do that for the community.
Councillor Lidkey?
Thank you. On the Northbrook Clinic, which is just on the edge of North Frontenac and serves 50 or 60% of the North Frontenac population. The additional doctor arrives at sometime in September. Looking forward to him. It's the first clinic in this whole entire area that will have a doctor for everyone that needs a doctor. So it's been a great asset for us. So thanks to the council for helping or contributing towards making his retention a little easier.
Thank you. I believe CEO Farrell has a comment.
I just want to extend a sincere thank you to Debbie for all the work that's gone into this. I know she keeps me apprised on a regular basis. We have many chats about the layers of healthcare, but just a sincere thank you, Debbie.
And Dave, I'd like to add to that as well, because it was last year when we went into your job description and said all other tasks as assigned. And those all other tasks now are over 500 hours of your efforts. So very much appreciated. I think the entire county is pleased with all the progress we're making. So thank you for that. If there are no other questions or comments, we have a motion to receive the report.
So moving on to the report that's moved by Councillor Lichty and seconded by Councillor Smith, be it resolved that county staff continue to lead, coordinate, and participate in the activities outlined in the Healthcare in Our Community updated implementation plan, and further that staff be authorized to access funds from the Strategic Project Reserve for use with the NEST program as required on an ongoing basis.
So comments, questions? Councillor Greenwood-Spears.
Do we have an idea on the figure for the ongoing basis of access? I didn't see it really in the report.
And that's sorry.
Mr. Farrell, did you want to comment on that? Okay, Ms. Miller, go ahead.
NEST program is $1,500 as needed. So each time a physician and their family would access that use, it would be $1,500.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Item 13.6, report 2026-072, replacement options for Bolton Creek Bridge and application to the Build Community Strong Fund.
Moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Fowler, be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac authorize staff to apply to the Build Communities Strong Fund for the purpose of replacing the downstream Bolton Creek Bridge located at KMP Trail, kilometer 85.2, and further that the full project budget for the proposed bridge replacement, including county and partner contributions, be presented to County Council as part of the 2027 budget deliberations, and further that the warden and clerk be authorized to enter into an agreement with the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario for the purpose of this funding program, should the application be successful and the project approved as part of the 2027 budget.
So comments, questions? Councillor Fowler.
Yes, regarding the cost of this, what is the total cost to have this particular bridge replaced?
Through you, Mr. Warden, the cost is in the financial implications area at the bottom of the report. The project's budgeted around $488,000 to remove the existing structure and replace it with the new structure, as recommended.
That answers your question, Mr. Fowler. Thank you. Councillor Greenwood-Spears.
Just a simple one that it mentions trail kilometer 85.2. Where is number 1 kilometer? Where does it start?
So the KMP trail kilometer 1 is, kilometer 0 is Confederation Park in Kingston.
Any other comments or questions on the report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Item number 14, information reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. Report 14.1, report 2026-067, Frontenac Paramedics High Performance Resuscitation HP CPR implementation. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 14.2, are there any questions on any of these reports that were included in the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 15, reports from the Advisory Committee of County Council. 15.1, Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee report to council.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears, that the report of the Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee be received and adopted. And there are two items on that report: the Planning and Economic Development Municipal Accommodation Tax Feasibility Update, and the Exploring Options for Trail-Oriented Accommodations.
So any questions on that report? Councillor Litke. Excuse me, not a question, just a comment on the report 2026-061 on the KNP Trail accommodations and so on. Just want to point out that the KNP Trail has only been in North Frontenac for a year and a half. It's only up to the bridge over the Mississippi, so about 7 kilometers. It hasn't had a significant amount of time to be developed. The report, if I'm reading it in a very critical way, which I obviously did, maybe shouldn't have, you know, we haven't got, you can't go beyond the bridge effectively, because the rest of the trail is not fully opened. And even if you could, you can't get to Calabogie, not legally. So, I mean, like, we're kind of pushing the envelope here just a little bit. I understand why the report is written the way it is, but I would have thought there would have been a disclaimer in there saying it is what it is and give us a little bit of time to catch up to Central and South Frontenac. So. Yeah, what's that address in Over the Hills Road? But there are bed and breakfasts in the area. There is the Back 40 Cheese tourist attraction, that sort of thing. There is a snowmobile club and so on, which is really popular, centralized. I mean, it's coming. It'll take a long time. Once you get north of Snow Road, it is just open swamp, boom, for the next so many kilometers. So hopefully it'll be finished this year and we'll go from there.
Mr. Allen, did you want to comment on those, or there's no need to if you don't feel the need?
Feedback received. Thank
Okay.
you, through you.
Thank you. And Councillor Smith, you're good? Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Then those two motions are all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 16, return to council.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Lichty, that council revert from Committee of the Whole Council to council.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Item number 17, adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Gowdy, that the report of the Committee of the Whole be adopted and that the necessary actions or bylaws be enacted.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. We have no motions that have been provided. Are there any giving of notice of motion? I mean, received none. Item number 20, communications. Those are there for your availability for your perusal. Item 21, other business. There is no other business. Item 22, bylaws, general bylaws, and confirmatory bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard, resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce bylaws 1 through 3 that have been circulated to all members of County Council, and that bylaws 1 through 3 be read a first and second time.
Comments, questions? Councillor Greenwood Spears.
I believe we had a new addition, and that maybe we should read that one's for the public because it wasn't circulated.
So the updated agenda was put on the public calendar, but the additional bylaw was, just roll this down, was a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario for the Build Strong Communities Strong Fund should the application be successful.
So all those are now in the public domain. Any comments, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And I believe item number 23.
So we're on third reading of the bylaws. So that's moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Resolved that bylaws 1 through 3 be read a third time, signed, sealed, and finally passed.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Item 22.3.
And that just lists the actual bylaws 1 through 3.
Thank you very much. Item number 23. adjournment? I think I'm sure now.
Moved by Counselor Lichty, seconded by Counselor Smith, that the meeting hereby adjourn at 10:09 a.m.
And just before I call the vote on that, just a reminder, there is no council meeting in August for your calendars.